Welcome, chosen ones. Let us take a moment to reflect on a profound truth: you don't lose a diamond. While playing in the dirt, you lose it when you forget its worth. Now, consider this: how often do we see people disregard something so precious, so irreplaceable, that it feels almost criminal? That's exactly what happened when they underestimated you. They didn't just lose you, they overlooked the rare and priceless treasure that you are. Think about it. Studies show that exceptional individuals are often undervalued until they're out of reach. Imagine those who once took you for granted now scrolling through your social media, hearts heavy with regret, thinking, "How could I let this slip away?" But here's the twist: they didn't just misjudge your value, they underestimated the profound anointing and greatness that God has placed within you. Their loss is a testament to their inability to recognize the divine purpose woven into your being. Now they're left grappling with the consequences of their choices, trying to piece together the fragments of what they lost. Meanwhile, this is your moment to shine brighter than ever before. As Psalm 139 verse 14 declares, "I praise you, because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well you are a masterpiece in God's plan, and their failure to see it doesn't diminish your worth." Let's delve deeper into the reasons behind their missteps. First, they mistook your calm for weakness. In their short-sightedness, they assumed that your ability to remain composed under pressure, avoid unnecessary disputes, and rise above petty conflicts was a sign of vulnerability. But how often do people forget that still waters run the deepest? Your calm was not a deficiency but a reflection of your mastery. As Proverbs 17 verse 28 teaches us, even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues. Your restraint wasn't ignorance, it was wisdom. While they tested your patience and pushed boundaries, they failed to see that your quiet demeanor was laced with full awareness. You noticed every veiled insult, every manipulative tactic, and every attempt to undermine you. Yet you chose not to engage, understanding that energy wasted on their schemes was energy diverted from your divine purpose. As Exodus 14 verse 14 reminds us, "The Lord will fight for you, you need only to be still." And when the inevitable moment came, when they pushed too far, your calm resolve didn't crumble into anger or chaos. Instead, it became a quiet, unwavering strength that left them in awe and confusion. This turning point marked not just their failure but your elevation. The lesson is clear: you are priceless in God's eyes, and no one's inability to see that can diminish your worth. So to all the chosen ones reading this, let this be your declaration of faith and strength. Comment 77 below as a sign that you are ready to claim your worth and step fully into God's divine purpose for your life. Remember, your journey is just beginning, and what lies ahead is greater than anything left behind. Stay with me, because what comes next will leave you speechless. Together, let's uncover these truths and walk boldly into the greatness that awaits. They thought their validation mattered. Their first mistake was assuming their approval defined your significance, as if their praise unlocked your confidence or granted you value. They believed themselves to be the gatekeepers of your self-worth, failing to grasp the truth: your worth was never tethered to their opinions. Unlike others who sought their acknowledgement, you moved with a quiet confidence, an assurance rooted in something eternal: your faith, purpose, and unwavering belief in the promises of God. As Psalm 139 verse 14 declares, "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well." This baffled them. They expected you to chase their validation, manipulating your sense of self by withholding compliments, offering lukewarm support, or playing mind games. Instead, you surprised them by walking away, uninterested and unaffected. They had set the stage for a performance, only to realize you weren't even in the audience. Now, as they reflect, the embarrassment sinks in. How could they have misjudged you so profoundly? They thought their validation could elevate or diminish you, not realizing that your worth was independent of their influence. They wanted to take credit for your success, yet you stood firm, untethered by their opinions. What about you? Can you see how your quiet strength reflects divine wisdom? Isn't it comforting to know that even when others misjudge you, God sees your heart and uses every slight and misstep by others to elevate you? Grounded in faith, guided by wisdom, and protected by God, your calmness wasn't just a reflection of strength. It was unshakable confidence. It was the silent warning they ignored, a signal of your deliberate restraint. Graceful detachment. Suddenly you weren't available to them anymore, your energy, your insight, your unique presence, all gone. And in that void they felt the full weight of their folly. What is more disarming than realizing the one they thought they could manipulate had seen through them all along? The truth dawned on them: your calm wasn't passive, it was purposeful. You were deliberate, always a step ahead, always in control. Just like Jesus when he was falsely accused, you held your ground with dignity, choosing when and how to respond, if at all. Your calmness, dismissed as weakness, became their bitter regret as they replayed every slight, wondering, how did I not see it? Now, as they sit in discomfort, one thing is clear: their actions cost them someone irreplaceable. The regret stings deeper because your calmness wasn't silence, it was mastery. And in that mastery you found elevation. They underestimated you, but in the end, their missteps became the foundation for your growth. This is your reminder: your worth is anchored in faith, not external approval. Every slight, every dismissal is part of God's divine plan to take you higher. Your light shines, and the truth is this: it was never theirs to dim. Your success was never dependent on their recognition. The irony of their failure lies in their misplaced confidence. They believed their validation was essential to your journey, but now they sit in bewilderment, grappling with the reality that their opinions held no power over your destiny. Their game was one of control, but you were playing an entirely different game, one rooted in divine assurance and an eternal purpose. As Isaiah 40 verse 31 declares, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles, they will run and not grow weary, they will walk and not be faint." Their attempts to diminish you only expose their own insecurities. Now, they must confront an uncomfortable truth: their inability to see your value was a reflection of their own limitations, not of your worth. How does it feel for them to realize they were never as central to your story as they believed? The burden of that realization weighs heavy as they come to terms with the fact that your confidence was never anchored in their approval, but in the unshakable foundation of faith, purpose, and God's unwavering love. They made another critical error: they thought you were replaceable. In their arrogance, they believed you were just one of many, someone who brought value but nothing extraordinary. This illusion emboldened them to mishandle you, take you for granted, or even walk away without a second thought. Yet, as Proverbs 31 verse 10 reminds us, a wife of noble character who can find? She is worth far more than rubies. Similarly, your worth is unique, crafted by God, and utterly irreplaceable. They failed to see that your presence wasn't just an addition, it was a catalyst for transformation. Your wisdom brought clarity to their confusion, your calm steadied their storms, and your authenticity created a safe and meaningful environment. As Psalm 139 verse 13 to 14 affirms, "For you created my inmost being, you knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, because I am fearfully and wonderfully made." Your uniqueness is divinely designed, a gift no one else can replicate. But like Esau, who sold his birthright for a bowl of stew, they undervalued something priceless until it was gone. Now, in your absence, the cracks in their foundation are beginning to show. They are fumbling through connections, desperately trying to recreate even a shadow of what you brought into their lives. Yet each new interaction only highlights the rarity of your impact. As C.S. Lewis wrote in The Weight of Glory, "We do not merely want to see beauty, though, God knows, even that is bounty enough. We want something else which can hardly be put into words, to be united with the beauty we see, to pass into it, to receive it into ourselves, to bathe in it. To become part of it." This longing mirrors their realization what they lost was more than just a person, it was the divine beauty and purpose you carried. True worth, as you have shown, is not found in applause or recognition. It is anchored in the gifts God has uniquely bestowed upon you. As 1 Peter 4 verse 10 reminds us, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others. Your light is a reflection of His purpose, and no one can replicate or replace that. So as they sit in their discomfort, let it serve as a reminder not of their importance to your story, but of God's ability to elevate His chosen, even when others fail to see it. As faithful stewards of God's grace, your uniqueness is not just a gift but a divine calling, carefully crafted to fulfill His purpose in your life. You are entrusted with something extraordinary, a reflection of God's intention for you to bring light and transformation to those around you. Yet they fail to see it. Their dismissal of your irreplaceable value is not just a loss, it's a painful revelation of their own blindness. They gambled with a diamond, treating it like a pebble, convinced they could always find another. But now, in the quiet aftermath of their decisions, they are left with nothing but regret. The weight of their mistake grows heavier with each moment of reflection. How many times do they replay those pivotal moments, wishing they could have acted differently? As they grapple with the consequences of their short-sightedness, they are confronted by a sobering truth: they fumbled something divine, something rare, and they can never go back. Their regret is profound, yet it's also a testament to your irreplaceable worth. As Romans 8 verse 28 assures us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. What they lost becomes your gain," as God uses their oversight to open doors for greater blessings in your life. Their greatest oversight was failing to recognize the value of your presence, your aura. It was not a fleeting charm or surface-level charisma, but a magnetic force imbued with divine purpose. Wherever you went, you carried clarity to chaos, comfort to uncertainty, and light to darkness. Like the Apostle Paul, whose words and actions radiated divine wisdom, your authenticity was a rare gift, one that inspired others and made them feel valued and understood. As Matthew 5 verse 14 to 16 reminds us, you are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. Your light, so unmistakable, was dismissed by those who couldn't see beyond the ordinary. Now, in your absence, the reality of their misjudgment is glaring. They mistook your profound impact for something easily replaced, only to find themselves in a void they cannot fill. Shallow connections and distractions fail to match the depth of your presence. As Proverbs 4 verse 7 says, "The beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom. Though it cost all you have, get understanding." Their lack of understanding has cost them dearly. They now chase shadows, searching for what they dismissed, only to come up empty every time. But for you, this is not a moment of sorrow, it's a moment of elevation. Do you see how your uniqueness reflects God's divine craftsmanship? Isn't it comforting to know that those who mishandle you only make way for God to elevate you further? As C.S. Lewis wrote in The Problem of Pain, God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. It is His megaphone to rouse a deaf world. Their failure is a reminder of how God uses all things, even the mistakes of others, to lead His chosen ones closer to their destiny. Your energy wasn't just a spark, it was a flame of divine origin, a light that cannot be hidden. Their regret and embarrassment are proof of the profound impact you had, a reflection of the gifts God placed in you. Let this realization strengthen your faith and renew your purpose. For what they lost, God will multiply in your favor. For you created my inmost being, you knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139 verse 13 to 14. In His plan, every loss is a setup for a greater triumph. The divine gifts God placed within you, wisdom, strength, and authenticity, are a profound testament to His craftsmanship. These gifts radiate through your presence, even when others cannot fully articulate their significance. Like the aroma of Christ described in 2 Corinthians 2 verse 15, For we are to God the pleasing aroma of Christ among those who are being saved and those who are perishing. Your presence is a spiritual fragrance, a quiet but transformative force that leaves an indelible mark on every life it touches. They may have dismissed your energy as fleeting, a spark easily extinguished, but now they see it for what it truly was, a catalyst for transformation and growth, divinely imbued and irreplaceable. Their regret now bears witness to the rarity of your gifts. They thought you were like any other, but your uniqueness was God-ordained, a reflection of His eternal purpose. For you, this truth should empower and uplift. Isn't it extraordinary to recognize that your value is untouchable, rooted not in human opinions but in the Creator's perfect design? As Psalm 139 verse 14 declares, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. This understanding enables you to move forward with confidence, knowing that your presence is not just a blessing to others, but a radiant beacon of God's light for those wise enough to see it. Their greatest miscalculation, however, was underestimating your resilience. They mistook your grace and silence for weakness, assuming their absence or opposition could destabilize you. How often do people inflate their importance in another's journey, blind to the quiet strength that anchors those they underestimate? What they failed to grasp is that your resilience is not of this world. It is a divine gift, fortified by faith and honed through life's trials. As Isaiah 40 verse 29 reminds us, He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Your endurance, born from faith and trust in God, is a wellspring of determination they could never comprehend. When they sought to disrupt your path, their efforts became the very tools God used to elevate you. Instead of faltering, you stood firm. Instead of breaking, you rose higher. As James 1 verse 2-4 teaches us, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. The challenges they designed to hinder you only refined your strength, transforming obstacles into stepping stones. Their attempts to diminish you backfired spectacularly, revealing the depth of your reliance on God and your ability to thrive without their support. In Genesis 50 verse 20, Joseph declared, You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Similarly, their plans to harm you became the forge that sharpened your resolve. Each trial was an opportunity to showcase the divine strength within you, a strength they neither understood nor expected. Their embarrassment lies in realizing that their influence was far less significant than they believed. By withholding support, they merely illuminated your capacity to stand firm on the unshakable foundation of faith. As C.S. Lewis insightfully wrote, hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. Your story is a testament to this truth, a narrative of triumph, resilience, and divine purpose. While they wrestle with the weight of their misjudgment, you stand tall, a living example of God's ability to turn every setback into a stepping stone. Let their regrets serve as a reminder of God's sovereignty and the unshakable foundation of your faith. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29 verse 11. Their efforts to sabotage you, far from hindering your progress, have only illuminated the brilliance of your success. Isn't it empowering to reflect on how each obstacle and setback was repurposed by God as an opportunity for growth and refinement? As Isaiah 54 verse 17 assures us, no weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. Your resilience, drawn not from external validation, but from the unwavering faith and divine purpose God instilled in you, stands as a testament to His plan. Their misjudgment, instead of breaking you, strengthened you, proving that no human effort can derail what God has ordained. Yet, one of their gravest miscalculations was mistaking your forgiveness for weakness. They misunderstood the depth of grace you extended, seeing it as naivety rather than the profound strength it truly represented. Forgiveness requires immense courage, wisdom, and an abundance of grace qualities rooted in your faith and shaped by God's example. As Ephesians 4 verse 31-32 teaches, get rid of all bitterness, rage and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. Your forgiveness wasn't blind. You were fully aware of their actions, the lies, the manipulation, and the attempts to diminish you. Yet you chose to forgive, not for their benefit, but for your peace and freedom. C.S. Lewis insightfully observed, to be a Christian means to forgive the inexcusable, because God has forgiven the inexcusable in you by forgiving. You released yourself from the chains of bitterness, demonstrating divine strength. But forgiveness is not a license for repeated harm, it is a sacred gift, extended with boundaries they foolishly ignored. In their arrogance, they took your grace for granted, assuming it was endless. They believed your patience could be tested indefinitely, failing to understand that mercy is not weakness but power. When they crossed the unspoken boundaries of respect and decency, you chose not to retaliate but to withdraw. This act, mirroring Jesus' departure from those who refused to honor his truth, was a profound statement. You walked away quietly, leaving them to grapple with the weight of their actions alone. Now they sit with the cold reality that your forgiveness was a privilege, not a right. As Colossians 3 verse 13 reminds us, bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. Your mercy was rooted in divine love, but it was not an invitation for exploitation. They squandered it, and in doing so, they lost something rare and irreplaceable. Their regret grows as they recognize the magnitude of their misjudgment. They thought you needed them, but now they see it was they who relied on you. The door to your grace is now closed, a decision that reflects your wisdom and strength. Let this be a reminder to you: forgiveness is not about enabling harm, but about demonstrating the power of faith. Just as God sees your heart and elevates you for your faithfulness, He also provides the discernment to set healthy boundaries. As you move forward, let their regret serve as a testament to the power of divine forgiveness and resilience. Your ability to forgive is a reflection of God's grace in your life. As C.S. Lewis aptly noted, hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. Your journey exemplifies this truth. By forgiving but not tolerating repeated harm, you honor the strength God has given you and step confidently into the plans He has prepared for you. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29 verse 11. The boundaries you establish to protect your peace are a reflection of divine wisdom. Their loss is final, yet it marks the beginning of your journey toward even greater blessings and profound joy. Isn't it extraordinary how God uses every trial to shape us into vessels of His glory? Isaiah 26 verse 3 reminds us, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you." By trusting in God's plan, you've safeguarded the peace that sustains your soul and propelled you toward a future filled with His promises. They never imagined you'd outgrow them. In their limited perspective, they confined you to a version of yourself that was convenient for them. They thought they knew you, your strengths, your limitations, and the trajectory of your life. To them, you were meant to remain dependent on their approval, small enough to fit the image they had crafted. But they failed to see the truth: you were never meant to stay stagnant, for God's hand was upon you, molding you into something far greater than their expectations. Philippians 1 verse 6 declares, "He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus." Your transformation was inevitable. Like a butterfly emerging from its cocoon, you broke free from their constraints, shedding the roles they assigned to you and stepping into the fullness of your divine purpose. As 2 Corinthians 5 verse 17 proclaims, "If anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come, the old has gone. The new is here." While they were busy underestimating you, God was quietly working within you, preparing a foundation for your breakthrough. Now, as they watch you rise, surpassing every limitation they imposed, they are left stunned. Their embarrassment runs deeper than your success. It stems from their role in attempting to hinder you. Like Joseph's brothers who sought to diminish him, only to witness his ascension to greatness, they now grapple with the bitter truth that they could not thwart God's plan for your life. Genesis 50 verse 20 illustrates this beautifully. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done. Where they saw boundaries, you saw opportunities. Where they doubted, you believed. Fueled by faith and determination, you ascended to heights they could never imagine. Their discomfort lies in knowing they could have been part of your journey, supporting you, celebrating your victories, and growing alongside you, but instead they chose to keep you small. Now they stand on the sidelines, trapped in the past, unable to reconcile the person they once knew with the powerful individual you've become. Isn't it remarkable to see how God has carried you through this journey? Every setback became a stepping stone, every doubt a source of strength. As Romans 8 verse 28 reminds us, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Your growth is undeniable evidence of His divine purpose. Let their misjudgment serve as a reminder no human expectation can limit the plans God has for you. Their inability to envision your transformation doesn't diminish your potential, it magnifies His glory. As you rise to new heights, continue to trust in the Lord's timing and embrace His promises, for His plans for you are far greater than anything the world can imagine. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29, verse 11. Your story is a testament to faith, resilience, and the courage to outgrow the limitations placed upon you. Keep soaring, for with God there are no limits to how far you can go. They shifted their focus to you not because of anything you did wrong, but because of the brilliance of your confidence, potential, and unique gifts. These qualities, which should have inspired admiration, instead became threats. Why? Because when they looked at you, they saw a reflection of everything they lacked but couldn't bring themselves to confront. Their discomfort wasn't truly about your success, it was the stark contrast your light cast against the shadows of their unresolved struggles. Instead of facing their shortcomings with humility, they chose the path of least resistance, tearing you down to avoid the painful work of self-reflection. How often do people attack what they secretly wish to emulate? As C.S. Lewis writes in Mere Christianity, pride gets no pleasure out of having something, only out of having more of it than the next man. Their criticisms, manipulations, and attempts to sow doubt were not reflections of your worth but manifestations of their own inner turmoil. It's as Proverbs 26 verse 27 teaches us, whoever digs a pit will fall into it. If someone rolls a stone, it will roll back on them. Their actions only deepened the chasm of their insecurities, while you stood firm, unshaken by their attempts to undermine you. What they didn't anticipate was your resilience. You refused to accept the burdens they tried to place on you, recognizing their projections for what they were, a reflection of their fears, not your truth. Just as Nehemiah persisted in rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem despite relentless opposition, you remained steadfast in your purpose. Like him, you could say with conviction, I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. Nehemiah 6 verse 3. Your focus and determination left no room for distractions, and while they stayed trapped in cycles of doubt and avoidance, you kept moving forward with grace and strength. Their discomfort now lies in the revelation that their attacks were never about you. Every insult, criticism, and manipulative tactic only revealed the depth of their inner struggles. Their regret is twofold. First, they must face the fact that their efforts to bring you down stemmed from their own fears, not your actions. Second, they are now forced to watch as you thrive, proving that their attempts to dim your light had no power over the divine purpose within you. Romans 8 verse 18 reminds us, I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. Each trial, each moment of doubt planted by others, was merely preparing you for a greater transformation. Like gold refined by fire, you emerge stronger, brighter, and wholly renewed. C.S. Lewis beautifully illustrates this in The Problem of Pain. We are not metaphorically but in very truth a divine work of art, something that God is making, and therefore something with which He will not be satisfied until it has a certain character. Today you are unrecognizable in the best way. Your transformation is not just external but a profound shift in your spirit, mind, and heart. The trials they hoped would break you became stepping stones toward your purpose. Their regret is inevitable as they realize they misjudged your strength, your faith, and your resolve. As Isaiah 54 verse 17 declares, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you." Their projections were never yours to carry, and now they must face the consequences of their actions alone. This journey is a testament to the unshakable truth that your worth is rooted not in others' opinions, but in the divine image of God within you. You chose to rise above, not out of spite but out of a profound understanding of the grace and purpose God has placed upon your life. Let their misjudgment serve as a reminder of the transformative power of faith, perseverance, and divine love. Keep shining, for your light is not just a reflection of who you are but a testimony to the one who created you for glory. Through your journey you've sharpened your focus, not only emotionally but spiritually. Resilience has become your armor, and a deep sense of purpose has rooted you in God's plan for your life. The confidence, strength, and self-assuredness you now radiate are unmistakable, leaving others in awe and sometimes disbelief. But their astonishment is not merely at your success, it is at how profoundly you've defied their limited expectations. They misjudged the person who had the potential not just to overcome but to lead, inspire, and thrive. Their regret runs deep because they chose to value a version of you that was still in progress, never imagining the greatness God was molding within you. As C.S. Lewis reflects in The Weight of Glory, the load or weight or burden of my neighbor's glory should be laid daily on my back, a load so heavy that only humility can carry it. They failed to carry that humility, focusing instead on their assumptions of who you were. Preoccupied with your past, they overlooked the transformation quietly taking place, a transformation that has now left them on the sidelines, grappling with the weight of their misjudgment. Your glow-up is more than a personal achievement, it's a living testament to God's grace and faithfulness. Like David standing before Goliath, you have shown that no obstacle, no opposition could define or limit you. As 1 Peter 5 verse 10 reminds us, the God of all grace, who called you to His eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a little while, will Himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast. Every struggle, every challenge was a part of God's refining process, shaping you for this moment of victory. Their embarrassment lies in the realization that they could have walked alongside you, could have been part of your journey, but they chose instead to doubt and undervalue you. Now, as they watch from afar, they see the fulfillment of God's promises in your life. While they remain stuck in regret, you are soaring, proving that validation was never a necessity. The only approval you ever needed was from God, and His plans for you were always far greater than any human expectation. Isaiah 60 verse 1 declares, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." Your transformation is not just a glow-up, it's a reflection of divine purpose, an affirmation that faith, resilience, and grace are the tools God provides to overcome and thrive. Let their inability to see your potential serve as a reminder your value is not defined by others' perceptions, but by the greatness God has always intended for you. Now, as you move forward, their misjudgment is a chapter you leave behind, a lesson in discernment and faith. You've shown that the light of God within you is brighter than any shadow of doubt cast by others, and your journey is a living testimony to His glory. The absence you've left behind serves as a painful reminder of how much they once took for granted. It's not just the loss of support, but the loss of the privilege of your care and presence. Their regret runs deep, for they failed to understand that your time, energy, and generosity were gifts, not entitlements, As C.S. Lewis writes in The Four Loves, we are all fallen creatures and all very hard to live with. Their inability to appreciate the true value of your kindness has cost them dearly. Now they are confronted with the truth of their actions, struggling to process the reality that what they assumed was a constant presence in their lives is no longer available to them. For you, this shift is empowering. By setting boundaries and reclaiming your worth, you've allowed yourself the space to prioritize your peace. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1 teaches, "To everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven." This is your season to protect your peace, to recognize that your presence is not a resource for others to exploit. Their regret now serves as a reminder that not everyone deserves access to your light. The privilege of being in your presence is earned, not automatic, and you are stronger for knowing when to protect your energy. As they reflect on their actions, they must face the uncomfortable truth they mistook your kindness for permanence. Their failure to reciprocate has left them with a loss they can never undo. But this lesson is a powerful reminder that your worth is not defined by others' ability to value it. You are the keeper of your time, your energy, and your presence, and you have learned to protect them wisely. Let their mistakes serve as a reminder for the future. Not everyone deserves a place in your life, and those who fail to appreciate it will be left wondering what they once had. They thought they held power over you, believing that their presence in your life was indispensable. But in truth, your independence shattered that illusion. You've shown them that while they may have been a part of your journey, they were never the author of your story. Your success is not a reflection of their influence, but a testament to your unwavering faith, determination, and the divine guidance that has led you. As Philippians 4 verse 13 reminds us, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Your achievements are rooted in God's strength and your own persistence, not in the validation of others. Their regret now runs deep as they come to terms with the truth they misjudged your potential. They thought you needed them, but in reality, they were only a minor part of a much larger plan that God had already set into motion. Your journey is a powerful reminder of your resilience and purpose. You were never dependent on their support or approval, for your true strength comes from God, as Isaiah 40 verse 31 says, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength." This realization is not just empowering for you, but it also serves as a profound lesson for them. Their misplaced assumptions about your dependence on them have now been exposed, while you continue to rise above every limitation they thought they could impose. You've learned that your worth is not determined by others, but by your faith in God and your commitment to follow His plan. Let their miscalculation be a reminder that your success is yours alone, shaped by your belief in yourself and God's perfect timing. As you continue to move forward, you are proving that no one, not even those who once thought they could hold you back, has control over the path God has set for you. Your story is one of faith, strength, and divine purpose. While they remain stuck in the past, wondering how they let you slip away, you are moving forward, unburdened by the weight of their assumptions. Your departure was not just an ending, it marked the beginning of something greater, a journey of freedom, growth, and divine purpose. What they failed to realize was that your decision to walk away was not rooted in spite or anger, but in the quiet, steadfast strength that comes from trusting in God's plan for your life. As Jeremiah 29 verse 11 affirms, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." Your walk away was not only a physical distance but a spiritual affirmation that you are walking in the path God has set for you. Their embarrassment is not just because you left, but because you left with ease and grace, showing them that their presence in your life was never as essential as they believed. Their assumption that you were dependent on them has been shattered. Much like Samson, whose strength was not in his hair but in his divine calling, your strength is not tied to their approval or presence. Your strength comes from within, rooted in God's love and the unshakable faith that sustains you. Philippians 4 verse 13 reminds us, "I can do all this through Him who gives me strength." In their arrogance, they failed to see your worth, assuming that your loyalty was unconditional and your devotion was forever bound to them. But your walk away was not about rejecting them, it was about recognizing your value in God's eyes. It was a reminder that your worth is not determined by anyone's opinion or validation, but by your relationship with God. As C.S. Lewis once said, you are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. Your new dream is one rooted in faith, in God's plan, and in the conviction that you are made for more. While they may sit in regret, questioning how they let you go, you are thriving in your newfound freedom. Your success, your peace, and your growth are all part of God's divine purpose, not tied to the fleeting approval of others. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 6 speaks to this truth: a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away. You recognize the time to let go, to walk away from relationships and situations that no longer serve you. Now, you are walking in the power of your faith, your self-worth, and the divine strength that carries you forward. Let their regret be a lesson for all who underestimated you. Your worth was never theirs to define. It is a reminder that with God, all things are possible, and no matter the obstacles or doubts others place in your path, you are destined for greatness. As you continue on this journey, remember that your success is not about proving anyone wrong, it is about embracing the person God has always meant for you to be. Let your light shine, for it is a reflection of the divine purpose within you, a purpose no one can take away. Keep trusting, keep believing, and know that the best chapters of your story are yet to come.